So this just in, out of nowhere, we get a notification that Deandre Hopkins have been suspended for 6 games. Hey, let's get into it, man. Welcome to the Super by Sports Podcast Show. I'm your host, B-Rob, one half of the family. And we just got hit with a bombshell. Like, I'm literally just looking at this news as it's coming into my phone and showing up on Twitter. If you're not following us, make sure you guys follow us on Twitter. The link is in the description. But welcome to Super by Sports Podcast Show. Place where a fan can be a fan no matter how biased their take is. And today we just, not too long ago, we just got hit with a little bombshell. So apparently Deandre Hopkins has been suspended for 6 games for violating the NFL PED policy. Now, as far as going in it too deeply, let me just someone just double check something here. But while this is pulling up, this is I don't know, the timing is so like interesting because one, it's way before the season, and they literally just like upgraded their wide receiver room and their just receiving corp as a whole in general. So as we all know, the draft was this past weekend. If you tune into the draft stream, shout out to you, big shout out to you. But if you tune into the draft stream, you've seen that Hollywood Brown got traded from the Baltimore Ravens, right? The Ops. They got traded to the Arizona Cardinals. So Hollywood Brown and Kyler Murray team back up together from college. If you notice, there's like a little trend going on. There has been a trend since the draft last year where you had Jamar Chase teaming back up with Joe Burrow, You also had Jalen Waddle teaming up back with Tua. You also had Devonta Smith teaming back up with Jalen Hurts. So the league is we in a copycat league. So if it's one thing to make your quarterback happy is for them to get their old running mate that they had back in college. And there has been reports even when CeeDee Lamb was being drafted that Kyler Murray really wanted CeeDee Lamb on the team. So and if you've seen any of the the drama with the Kyler Murray saga, him deleting all his Arizona pictures from his scrubbing them from his social media accounts, and he literally, one of the photos that he kept up was the one with him and CeeDee Lamb from the Pro Bowl. But he doesn't get CeeDee Lamb back in this, trade. He gets his old running mate, Marquise Brown, a.k.a. Hollywood Brown from the Baltimore Ravens. You can insert Lamar Jackson's sad face right here if you want to. But according to ESPN, Deandre Hopkins have been banned for 6 games. And just says that he violated the NFL's policy on performance-enhancing drugs, and is literally breaking news. So first, let's talk about what the wide receiver room looks even with Deandre Hopkins being there. So right now, for the Arizona Cardinals, their wide receiver room, and I'll include the tight ends as well because they are receivers as well. But it includes the likes of DeAndre Hopkins, Rondale Moore, who I think really benefits a lot from this situation. Andy Isabella, Marquise Brown, Antoine Wesley, and Andre Bakelia. I hope I'm saying his name correctly. And then you have the former Bengal AJ Green and Greg Dortch as well being added to the team as well. You also have the addition of Zach Ertz from last year. They drafted Trey McBride with their first pick of the draft this year. And then they also have Max Williams, tight end Max Williams. And further down the depth chart, they have Stephen Anderson. Excuse me. But as far as it goes, apparently this is something that the league kind of already knew Because if you look at the ESPN report, it says the suspension adds more context to the Cardinals draft day trade for wide receiver Marquise Brown. The Cardinals also lost, which we already know, Christian Kirk going to the Jacksonville Jaguars, which before this suspension, we looked at them getting Hollywood Brown as this is the best replacement for Christian Kirk as possible because you get a more consistent receiver. He's a deep threat receiver. He has a speed to blow off the top of the defense, where in those systems where DeAndre Hopkins have a speedy receiver playing on the other side of the field, even if he's getting double teamed, these are the best situations for DeAndre Hopkins because we know DeAndre Hopkins is not a speedy receiver, but it doesn't take away from being a number one receiver. We know his skill set. We know his talents. He just thrives in an offense where there's a speedy receiver on the other end. You can look at it, and I'm not gonna say it's exactly the same with T. Higgins on our team. He's not the most fastest receiver, but he benefits very greatly from the ability that Jamar Chase can take the top off the defense, even though, Jamar Chase is like a unicorn. Like, he can catch a screen and take it for 40. He can take the top off the defense and command double teams, but he also can take slants to the house. So, I like to refer him as like a unicorn type of receiver at his young age, where he's at right now. And who benefits greatly from that? T. Higgins. Now, I'm not saying T. Higgins is DeAndre Hopkins, but when you think about the two possession receivers, big body receivers, handsy receivers, and not the fastest, tall, physical, that is DeAndre Hopkins. We know he can catch almost anything that you throw at him, even if he's quadruple covered, like when he was during the bubble versus the Buffalo Bills. So when it comes to DeAndre Hopkins being suspended for 6 games, well, who benefits the most from this? Like I stated, Rondale Moore. We should, even if DeAndre Hopkins wasn't suspended, we should have already be looking forward to increased production from Rondale Moore. But now that DeAndre Hopkins is not there, we should be seeing some increased production from Rondale Moore, and then also that means it's going to be more targets early on for Hollywood Brown. The chemistry is probably going to be built wonderfully in those 6 games. So then when D-Hop does come back, and keep in mind, D-Hop is coming off an injury, so this gives him more time, if not already fully recovered, to, really get fully recovered as well. And then, get into game shape as well. Because he has been off for a while. But hey, to those people who are fantasy owners, we're gonna do some videos later on, and as we get closer to the start of the league date on fantasy. But if you're thinking like how I'm thinking, already ahead in fantasy, you automatically got to think, well, man, Marquise Brown's value just went up. Rondale Moore's value just went up, even if is someone that you can catch maybe in the 3rd or the 4th round, depending on the type of drafts that you have. These are people that you can look forward to, because we know Arizona is a pass happy offense. They drafted one of my favorite tight ends in the draft this year, so we can look forward to really seeing what Hollywood Brown can do, because technically he would kind of be like the number 1 receiver coming in now that DeAndre Hopkins is going to be out for about 6 games. And we can look to see some decent production from AJ Green, but more ramped up production from Rondale Moore. And it's going to be interesting to see how they all gel together once DeAndre Hopkins come back. But like I said, DeAndre Hopkins benefits for having someone like a Hollywood Brown on his team that can take the top off of the defense. Rondale Moore can take the top off the defense with his speed. So it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and when we drop our podcast videos, make sure you guys follow us and favorite us on your favorite podcast apps. I'm B-Rob, and I'm going to catch you guys in the next video. Peace.